The April Fool's 2025 patch is here. My name is KIRIKO, and if you're out of the loop, every year Overwatch adds googly eyes to their characters along with some wacky changes as a separate game mode. This year it will be from April 1st to April 14th. Let's not waste any more time. Here are the changes. First thing to note is that perks are disabled in this mode. So now on to the actual heroes. D.Va first. D.Va is going to be the small hero this time. Her mech size is going to be reduced by 50%. Her base health on the mech is going to be reduced from 375 to 25. And then in her baby pilot form, the D.Va size is going to be reduced by 50% as well. And the base health will be reduced by 175 to 25. To make up for these tankiness nerfs, she becomes an absolute DPS machine. With the fusion cannons, the rate of fire is increased by 100%, but the damage will be reduced by 50%. For her light gun in her pilot form, the rate of fire is increased by 100%, the reload speeds increased by 25%, and the damage is reduced by 25%. For her ultimate self-destruct, you can now press interact during the self-destruct to freeze the mech in place. For DOOMFIST, he can no longer shoot those pellets out of his hand cannon, and it's replaced by his quick melee. The melee speed for this will be increased by 50%, the melee damage increased by 50%, and DOOMFIST now lunges towards the nearby enemies when he melees. For his seismic slam, the cooldown is decreased by 1 second, and for his rocket punch, the melee damage that he does with his primary now builds rocket punch charge meter. The charge meter no longer decays, so you can just slowly build it up and sit on it, and the charge time is going to be reduced by 50%.
You can't get me.
Hazard doesn't have too many changes, but they're pretty big. The jagged wall knockback is increased by 400%. Yeah, and the jagged wall cooldown is decreased from 12 to 8 seconds.
Who wants a second poke?
For Junker Queen, her commanding shout no longer affects allies. She's selfish now. The overhealth will be increased by 50% though, and her bonus movement speed is going to be increased from 30% to 60%. For her jagged blade, it can no longer be recalled with secondary fire, but Junker Queen now flies towards Gracie, her knife, while secondary fire is held. This is what it was last year as well.
Cut.
Last year in 2024, MAUGA's April Fool's change was him being the small guy, but this time he's a little bit different, where if he fires both his chain guns at the same time, he's going to be pushed backwards in the direction he's aiming. It feels a little strange, but you got to get used to it. For both his weapons, the incendiary and the volatile chain gun, the ammo is going to be reduced from 300 to 150, and the reload speed increased by 15%. When he uses Overrun, it can now be used during his cage fight, and for the cage fight itself, the tether is now centered on MAUGA and follows him so he can chase you around with it, which is kind of funky while he shoots his chain guns, and it now grants MAUGA infinite ammo during the duration.
You can check in, but you can't check out.
You wanted Marvel Rivals team-ups? You got it. Orisa and HANZO now have an interaction where HANZO can press the interact button while near Orisa to ride her into battle, giving Orisa extra movement speed. For the javelin spin, it now pulls enemies towards Orisa.
Check yourself or wreck yourself.
For RAMATTRA's Ravenous Vortex, the only change is that it now reverses the gravity of all the enemies inside. So see you in the sky, baby.
Agony is ripe flavored.
For REINHARDT's charge, the cooldown's cut in half from 7 to 3.5 seconds, the turn speed is increased by 150%, and the charge will always last until you collide with the wall now.
Have a seat.
For ROADHOG, his chain hook now throws 3 hooks at once. Yeah, alright.
Everybody gets strapped.
For Sigma, the kinetic grasp deflects projectiles this time instead of absorbing them, and Sigma now gains free flight during this kinetic grasp. For Winston's jump pack, he can now press crouch mid-air to do a body slam and deal more damage while coming down from the jump pack.
Look at me go, Winston. Winston. Winston.
For Wrecking Ball, his size is going to be reduced by 50%, and Wrecking Ball now gains overhealth based on his size. Wait, what? For his roll, damaging enemies during the fireball roll will increase his Wrecking Ball size. Oh, okay. And for his pile driver, the area effect also increases based on Wrecking Ball size. Wow, okay.
Collect the little balls to win the prize.
For Zarya's particle cannon, the primary fire beam, it now ricochets off of enemies and the environment.
Group hug.
ASHE, for her coach gun, there's increased knockback on enemy heroes, and it now briefly reduces their air control. For Bob, he no longer shoots. However, he now repeatedly dashes towards the nearest enemy hero and attempts to knock them into the air. His ult cost will be reduced by 70%, making it more like a regular cooldown.
Bob, do something.
For Bastion, he's now beat booping because his A36 tactical grenade also spawns a beat booping explosive training bot, and for his ultimate configuration artillery, the impact will also spawn an explosive training bot. For Cassidy, his Peacekeeper weapon, the primary and secondary fire fan, the hammers, both ricochet 3 times. The ricocheted bullets now deal increased damage.
It's 6:30. It's 2 in the morning.
For Echo, the tri-shots now fire sticky bombs on each one, and the damage is going to be reduced from 25 to 14 to compensate. However, the sticky bombs now fire a volley of tri-shot projectiles, and the damage will be increased from 17 to 20 on this cooldown. The flight for Echo is now always active, so you're always flying, and activating the button itself will actually cause Echo to dash a short distance. For her focusing beam, it now does the opposite, where the extra damage is now on enemies above half health.
I'm better than you at Genji.
For Genji, he can now occasionally heal himself if you press the I need healing button. The notes say don't abuse this, you've been warned, so I think something special happens if you press it too much.
Shin, 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 shin.
For Hanzo, when he charges up his bow, they will now ricochet twice. For his storm arrow cooldown, each arrow will actually ricochet up to 5 times. For his wall climb, while you climb, you can actually press reload and permanently attach yourself to the wall like Spider-Man. Now for Hanzo's team up ability with Orisa, like we mentioned earlier, it's actually going to be called Samurai Kishu, the new passive. You press interact while near Orisa to ride her into battle, and while riding, you gain 25% damage reduction. Orisa will control your movement, and while riding, you'll feel 20% cooler. That's a real note.
Sick 'em, boys. Nom 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 nom.
Or Junkrat's Riptire is ultimate. Junkrat becomes invisible and untargetable while using Riptire. Junkrat can actually teleport to the Riptire as soon as it explodes, and Junkrat will die though if the Riptire is destroyed. For his concussive mine, you can now place up to 5 mines at once. The max damage will be reduced by 50%, and the max charges, of course, will be increased to 5 to compensate, and the cooldown of each will be reduced to 4 seconds.
Everyone stand very still.
For Mei's Cryo Freeze, it now creates a miniature blizzard, and Mei can actually now move during Cryo Freeze.
我要开空调了。
Now look at that, Moira is over here in the DPS category. She now has the damage roll passive and no longer has the support passive. For her Biotic Grasp, the primary fire no longer heals and will deal damage instead. Obviously the healing orb is removed from Biotic Orb, and the Coalescence now also only deals damage.
I'll show you, Meta.
For Pharah, her rocket launcher now deals increased damage to airborne enemies on a direct hit. For both her jet dash and jump jet, it will now pull nearby enemies along with Pharah when she uses either of these abilities.
Try and shoot me. You won't. Rain justices from above.
For Reaper, he has the Hellfire shotguns, that's his main weapon, and there's a long list of changes here. So Reaper can no longer reload and will instead drop his shotguns on the ground when they're empty. So what you have to do is that your dropped shotguns must be picked up again to restore the ammo. Your movement speed will be increased by 25% when you're out of ammo and the shotguns are on the ground, and picking up the shotguns again will also increase your attack speed for a short duration. The note here is that it says it's hard to melee enemies without your shotguns, which means you probably can't do that while they're on the ground.
Happy birthday.
For Sojourn's Railgun, the maximum charge is actually now 300%. Wow. The Railgun's secondary fire deals increased damage at above 100% charge as well, and the Railgun secondary fire will also knock back Sojourn if it is fired at above 100% charge.
Bye-bye, bad guys.
For Soldier, he's getting old, so I guess he can't see anymore because he can no longer see allied or enemy health bars, including his own. The passive healing will also start faster and will heal much faster. During his sprint, I guess old man still got legs because his speed will be increased by 100%.
Who took my dentures?
For Sombra, hacking enemies now grants a stacking buff, a maximum of 10 on this buff, of movement speed and magazine size. Stacks are now lost upon death.
Get DDoSed.
For SYMMETRA, her photon projector primary fire now does damage based on a target's maximum health. The secondary fire charge time is also going to be reduced as well. For her sentry turrets, the turret health is going to be increased by 50%, the cooldown reduced by 40%, projectile speed increased by 100%, and it can now stick onto allies so they can walk around and be like a lot scarier for you.
Superior to RGB, I am blocking you.
For TORBJORN's turret, it can now be overhealed by the Forge Hammer, and when it's overhealed, the turret will gain increased size, damage, and health.
Lava!
For Tracer, when she blinks while she crouches, she can now collide with enemies, and colliding with enemies will deal damage and knock them back.
Whoa! Whoops! Whoa!
So for Venture, you can now fly while burrowed. So are you really truly burrowed anymore if you're in the air? I don't know. When you emerge out of the burrow, you can now charge it longer for a stronger effect.
This is not a drill. Bingish schmungus.
For Widowmaker, the grappling hook can now hit enemy heroes, which deals damage and grants Widowmaker overhealth. When Widow melees, the first successful melee attack after hitting a hero with the grappling hook deals extra damage. This looks a little familiar.
I'm making popcorn.
For Ana, the biotic rifle magazine size is going to be reduced from 15 to 1. That's right, 1 bullet. Reload speed will be increased by 25%, but the damage and healing will be increased from 75 to 150.
Hope this helps.
Now it's my turn.
Hope this helps.
أنا جاهزة للتحدي.
For Baptiste's Exo Boots, you can actually press crouch while you're mid-air to Goomba Stomp onto enemies.
Everybody shoot through the box. Through the box!
For Brig, the Shield Bash will actually be replaced with a Shield Throw instead. The Shield Throw will toss Brig's shield, which will stun and bounce between enemies. For her ultimate Rally, during this rally, the Shield Throw can actually hit more enemies.
Mace to the mace to the mace to the mace to the face.
For Illari's Solo Rifle, the primary fire now heals allies and does not deal any damage, but the secondary fire healing beam now damages enemies instead. The secondary fire healing beam range will be increased by 50%.
SPF 15 is useless.
For Juno's quick melee, the knockback is increased, kind of like Zenyatta's snap kick, and for the Orbital Ray ultimate, it reverses gravity on all the allies and enemies inside.
Martian, always have been. They cannot stop all of us.
For Kiriko's Swift Step, it now grants Kiriko overhealth and increased attack speed, but she can no longer actually choose her target, so yeah.
Just aim for the head.
For Lifeweaver, his Thorn Volley projectiles now home in automatically onto enemies. The projectiles per shot will be reduced from 2 to 1, the rate of fire reduced by 35%, the projectile speed reduced by 70% as well, but when enough projectiles hit an enemy, they explode for 160 damage, just like a Needler from Halo.
Take shelter, my seedlings. If I see even one axe, so help me.
For Lucio, the wall ride will now give him increased move speed, reload speed, and attack speed. The buffs you gain from wall riding will persist for a few seconds after touching the ground, so as long as you keep refreshing it, you're permanently going to be buffed.
Who wants a billion hit points?
For Mercy's Caduceus Blaster, her pistol, it now fires random projectiles. When I mean random, I literally mean random projectiles from the game, like Fire Strike, Junkrat nades, Moira orbs, etc., etc. It's a little chaotic, but a lot of fun.
Time to connect the dots.
For Zenyatta, his Orb of Destruction now fires sticky, googly eyes instead of orbs. The damage will be reduced by 25%, but his attack speed will be increased by 50%.
Become unkillable. Some conditions may apply.
And that's it for the patch. Enjoy the next 2 weeks of utter chaos.